What's up, A to Z Sports Live and from the NFL Combine? I am not, but I have the most massive FOMO that I've had in a long time because Easton Freeze and JT Runke are live at Radio Row at the Indianapolis Combine. And we are going to have a fantastic show today as you guys are officially one full day of gossip and drama and all the great stuff that you get to learn at the NFL Combine. You've had 2 nights of sleep, 2 nights of shenanigans that you've been able to see what's going on at NFL spring break. And we're going to have a good show today. Easton got his first impression of a potential draft prospect for the Titans in at 4th overall before the show this morning. And then both of you guys are going to be at the podiums of other top draft prospects the Titans could pick at 4th overall after the show. So there's a lot to get to. We'll discuss Robert Saleh, what he said, a few different things that he said yesterday as he is playing both sides of the Rueben Bain conversation at the NFL Combine. So, guys, welcome in. Pumped about this. Who wants to take the reins on telling the people what they got to do?
I will. We are having such a great time here on day 2 from the great and wonderful city of Indianapolis, Indiana.
Just trying to find a reason to use that one. I like the magical sparkles.
Here at the Combine, day 2, things are live. People are moving. People are talking. Players are finally getting up on the podium.
It's way too early.
Yeah, it is.
Well, right now it's not, but it was when we were here an hour and a half ago.
It took security a long time to get going this morning as well.
They were not quite out of bed.
But we are finally here, excited to talk about these prospects, what we heard from Robert Saleh yesterday. A lot of good things here today. But before we get going, if the Bear is saying, pump the brakes, JT, on calling Indiana great. Well, if you didn't hear the magical, mystical fairy music. No, you're good. It's kind of the joke.
Also, Indianapolis is great this week in particular.
Yeah,
I won't vouch for the other 51 weeks of the year.
I would never go to Indianapolis any other week. But we're good to see all of you guys here in the comment section. Good morning, Tiffany. Good morning, Scott. Good morning to all of you Titans, Kyle, John. Good to see all of you guys here this morning. Before we get started, need a few things from you guys. First and foremost, if you're watching on YouTube, we appreciate you watching over there. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit that notification bell so you guys know exactly what time we go live every single morning, weekday morning. And then hit that like button once again. It does all the amazing algorithm things, literally the fairy dust algorithm things.
That's the sound of the algorithm.
That puts this show on other Titans fans' feed, so we appreciate you hitting that like button. If you're on Facebook as well, we appreciate you guys over there. Hit the like button, like the show, and share the show with a friend who wants to talk about Rueben Bain and any of these other possible prospects we might be seeing in a Tennessee Titans new uniform come April.
We're rushing the passer today, JT.
Yeah, we are.
That's right. All right, guys, let's get it going officially. Welcome to A to Z Sports here live on a Wednesday. I'm Austin Stanley alongside in Indianapolis with the NFL Combine, Easton Freeze and JT Runke on Radio Row. We're Nashville's on-demand sports talk network going live weekday mornings at 8 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Links to the show segment by segment on our Twitter X timeline. Hit us up on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads for more great Titans content. About to drop the Google preferred source link into the chat right there. So when you're Googling Titans NFL Combine, Titans Draft, Titans Free Agency, all those good topics, you see A to Z Sports pop up because you have followed A to Z on Google. Got to thank our sponsors and make it happen for us, and they help out all of you. The Bone and Joint Institute, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care, boneandjointtn.org. Barton Drury Insurance Group, customized solutions for all of your insurance needs, local and online at bartondrury.com. And Window Nation, take advantage of February's deal to buy 4 windows, get 4 windows for free with an extra 10% sprinkled off the top of that at windownation.com only for February, which you got a few days left. Shout out to my wife's birthday today, so happy birthday there. February is a big month for you guys at the NFL Combine too. So before we dive into the Robert Saleh riding the fence on Rueben Bain yesterday in his press availability, Easton, you got the first impression from Arvel, the Ohio State defensive player. I know he was asked the question of which would he prefer to play in the NFL, off ball linebacker or edge, and the most obvious edge. Why? Money. But what else was your impression of Arvel, getting to see him, who could be an option for the Titans at 4th overall?
Absolutely could be an option for the Titans at 4th overall. He was good. Listen, he was one of the first guys, the first wave at 8 a.m., which is a bright and early call to do a press conference. So I think we're all a little groggy, a little tired at the podium this morning, but we did get a good bit of information out of him talking about how he developed into a guy that was not even a starter a year ago to being a one-year starter, one-year wonder, who is now going to be probably a top 5 pick in the class, and he was giving a lot of credit to Matt Patricia for drawing that out of him. I know that the three of us were talking about this, and no free shouts, but I know that we were listening to the Todd McShay show the other day, and he was talking about how Matt Patricia he needs to get more credit for what he has done there at Ohio State with some of those guys churning that defensive roster. And I mean, everywhere you look on these defensive days, it's Ohio State guy there, Ohio State guy here. I mean, they're pumping out a lot of really talented players, but with Reese in particular, the knowledge he had to have to be able to be that hybrid joker role on defense, that's something that I know that teams are really valuing, because it is a year-long demonstration of a guy that can handle mentally the strains that being a top defender in the NFL are going to put on a guy. And so where he ends up playing primarily is the big question. But I think from his college tape, what's most impressive, and he was talking about this morning, is that he showed he can handle it. He can do both things. And he also confirmed, by the way, a little bit of news, that he will be running the 40 and doing both linebacker and edge rusher drills later this week. So that'll be exciting to watch during the athletic testing portion.
That's good. I do feel like we don't have to get too deep into this right now, but it feels like more of the top guys are opting in to workouts this year compared to the last several years. Yeah, hell yeah. Let's freaking go. Yes.
A lot of them are. Rueben Bain being one. That is
Rueben Bain's not. Right. Ruben Bain's not.
When what did Robert Saleh say yesterday? He said, because we asked him about this at the very end of our little walk and talk before his main podium, what do you think about guys choosing to or choosing not to compete? And he kind of wavered, and we were like, come on, say it. And then, and then he said, I'm paraphrasing, I think, but he said, listen, if you've got nothing to hide, you can come compete. It's like, that's the mindset I like. And then when you juxtapose that with the guy we're about to talk about, Rueben Bain, not competing, what do we do we care about that? What do we think about that?
I think that's one of the main questions. I will talk on Arvel Reese real quick.
Yes.
First of all, I guess it's now Vel Reese.
Yes, I was going to bring that up too.
Andre or someone in the chat ended up saying, but thoughts on that? I think you look at Vel Reese, and I know our friend who was on the show Monday morning, Ryan Roberts, said he doesn't know how that's going to play out, because when is the last time you heard of a good productive player that goes by 2 one-syllable names? Vel Reese.
Well,
didn't we do the list and it's like Chris Jones exists?
Yes.
That is I guess that is 2 syllables. Oh, you guys did a list?
It depends on it depends on.
I guess it depends. But
Chris Jones.
Joking aside.
Emphasis on the S's
I
that
do
can give you another syllable.
I think you look at that player and the versatility, and we'll get into a lot of this, but that is something that I think is super intriguing to hear from a guy who, like you said, that background with Matt Patricia probably projects well into a Saleh-led defense that is going to have a lot of moving parts and a lot of different things going on. So that is a guy that you look at as someone who definitely fits the mold of a true leader, a true X factor on a Robert Saleh style defense.
Yeah, Lucas with a Bruce Smith drop. That's pretty good too. Yeah.
Quick question, because I saw some people in the chat saying that our volume is a little lower than yours. I turned it up. Chat, if we're still too low, let me know. I can turn it up further. Let's get this right.
I noticed a difference in the volume there. So I can only hear you guys.
I think we're probably good now.
Yeah, sound a little better. So yeah, Vel Reese, dropping the R for Vel Reese on that. We'll see if that sticks.
Cool. Why? Like, it's not like he's going from a lame name to a cool name.
Well,
it's not like going from like Oluwafemi to Femi.
Right. Like, it's like, thank you for doing that. I understand why you did that. But no one's having trouble with Arvel.
Yeah. Who knows?
Arvel.
Did someone ask him that question?
If he gets drafted, if Arvel Reese is a Tennessee Titan,
Welcome to Nashville, Arvel.
The guy in Arvel. Hey, that Arvel kid, pretty fast off the edge, man. Arvel.
Yeah.
Or somebody's gonna call him an anvil. It'll be messed
Anvil
up.
Reese.
It'll be very messed up.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah. Sheville, you can come to Arvel. You can come to Sheville, Arvel.
Arvel.
Yeah. So if he's a Tennessee Titan, Vel is probably a lot easier. All right. So let's get to Rueben Bain, because he is not working out. But Easton, you'll get to do the Rueben Bain podium after the show. Simultaneously, JT will be at the David Bailey podium. So great. I'm glad you guys are getting the best first impressions that you possibly can for these three edge defenders that we've been talking about for a lot of time so far in this draft season. So Rueben Bain, Robert Saleh was asked about him yesterday at the big podium. I know there were some other comments that Easton got with the Titans local beat yesterday before the big podium, but here was Robert Saleh on Rueben Bain, the edge D lineman defensive player out of Miami.
Again, that's really every position. Arm length is always going to be key, especially with a team like us that plays more of a zone style. Those long arms close up passing windows and do all the different things that we ask them to do. But so it's really every position. Arm length is always a big deal.
So arm length is a big deal, but there was a quote that Robert Saleh said, I think this was in the private session, where he said, the tape is undeniable.
Yep.
Right?
Yes.
So Easton, take us through the more private session with Robert Saleh, where there is no video, there is no audio that can be broadcasted, but the tape is undeniable. What else did Saleh have to say about Rueben Bain?
Well, and I'm trying to pull up that full quote because chronologically, that meeting with him was first before his main podium. So the first anyone heard from him yesterday on the topic of Rueben Bain was, and here's the quote, with a young man like Bain, I don't know if his testing has come in yet, but his tape is undeniable. You know, he's an unbelievable football player. He plays with great violence. His football IQ is off the charts. So you trust that a guy like him and his makeup is going to translate the way it needs to. End quote. Now, that sounds like a guy that has already had the formal meeting with Rueben Bain. We'll get some, fingers crossed, don't hold me to this, but working on today, getting some confirmations on some formal meetings, especially with guys they've already met with, which would be all of the guys we're hearing from at the podium today, linebackers, edge rushers, defensive linemen. I would assume that Reese, Bane, and Bailey are probably all formal interviews for this team.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that they didn't. And that sounds like kind of a review of what that FaceTime was. The football IQ comment is something that I think comes from getting a guy on a board and putting him through the paces and testing his mind. So the initial conversation about Bane with him was like, listen, guy, the vibe was like, listen, I get it, the arms, everybody understands. But he's a good football player, and we care about football players, right? He's a ball player. The tape is undeniable. He's a phenomenal guy on and off the mentally and physically, he's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's as ringing an endorsement as you can get, is what I'm trying to say.
For sure, but then also, like, right there at the podium for everybody to hear, arm length matters, especially in our zone scheme, right? Like, you have to have those long arms. And the measure, I don't think it's been broadcasted publicly yet, but she's supposed to have under 31-inch arms.
Correct.
And the threshold for edge defenders is 32 inches. And so if you look at the list of edge defenders with under 32-inch arms that are in the NFL right now, they're all over 31-inch arms.
Right.
So they're between 31 and 32.
Yes.
And that list is not like great.
No,
and then
they're just some dudes.
They're just guys that are there. They're making money. They're making lives. They're living the American dream. They're
useful
getting
players.
Contracts. They're good rotational replacement level players. If you're under 31 inches, that's like short of the short, right?
For edge. Not for defensive linemen, but for edge.
For edge. And if you are picking 4th overall, or are you going to pick a unicorn to play on the edge, or are you going to pick a really good defensive lineman to play interior with Jeffrey Simmons and Devandre Sweat? We'll talk about Devandre Sweat later on. So let's get to this question, because I think this is going to be interesting. JT was like, I have something that we have to talk about tomorrow. This is JT's like, he got me so excited when we were planning the show yesterday before y'all's naps of like, hey, I've got this right now. Here's what we're doing. Which side do we think Robert Saleh is actually on? Because he's riding the fence. He said arm length matters, but the tape is undeniable. So which side is Robert Saleh actually on here when it comes to Rueben Bain? I'll put up a YouTube poll here in a moment, but first we'll tell you guys about our great friends at Window Nation. We got windows all over the place here. Window Nation, where you can go to windownation.com, buy 4 windows, get 4 windows for free. February has a phenomenal deal of that, but Also, 10% off the top of your savings there in the first place. And Window Nation's great at doing what they do, and they will help you out. And whatever your financing situation needs to be, they've got options for it. You're going to save thousands and thousands of dollars on high quality, phenomenal windows that will help improve the value of your home, help you save money on your bills, help keep the temperature inside the home what you want it to be, and keep the temperature outside the home, which is great. We upgraded our home with Window Nation windows back in the fall and got rid of the metal builder grade windows for Window Nation's top of the line windows. Online, windownation.com for that February deal. Buy 4 windows, get 4 windows for free, then extra 10% off the top of that. All right.
Hit that like button. Make sure you are subscribed. We're going to be talking about this because you are right, Austin. It kind of fired me up because it was the one question I had when we did our Saleh Primer show yesterday, right? Which side of the fence does he end on? And that was the one question I wanted to go into, feeling like I had a little bit more of a clearer picture on what Robert Saleh himself is thinking. And to Robert Saleh's credit and my big disappointment, he masterfully spun himself into a web where he didn't give up an answer. And I hate it, but also props to him for doing that. So we can get to some of these comments here. Did you put up the YouTube poll?
The YouTube poll just hit go, so we'll give that a few minutes here. But the comments are loaded. So which side of the fence is Robert Saleh on? He said the tape is undeniable, but arm length matters. So 2 different press conferences. Those were 2 different answers from the Titans head coach. So undeniable tape or arm length matters. Which side of the fence is Robert Saleh on with Rueben Bain? To the chat you go there, JT.
Darius says undeniable, talking about the tape, but Darius says it's because he's delusional. So he thinks the tape is going to be too intoxicating not to take a swing there. Orlando also thinks it's the tape. Jeffrey Simmons knows all of this as well and wants Bane. That's enough for him and should be enough for Robert Saleh, apparently.
Time out.
Let Jeff pick the players.
Yeah. Let Jeff and Cam pick the players. And
this is my stance.
Yes.
Good teams don't need front offices.
You know who Jeff wanted last year?
Oh, who did he want? That's
Abdul Carter.
Carter.
Not his best friend.
Yes.
Hey, Jeff's best friend, new best friend. Right?
Good player though.
So. Yeah, good player, but not Cam. So do you want Jeff to pick the players?
Yes.
Okay.
Jeff, I support you if you're listening.
I don't respectfully. I don't give a damn what Jeffrey Simmons wants in the draft. He is wanting selfishly things in the draft because 2 straight years he's like, give me somebody that can help me. He's not wrong.
Which the funny thing is, the odds are they will, whether they pick the guy he has in mind or not. There are 3 edge rushers, and all 3 of them will help him.
For sure. But, if they listen to Jeff last year, then they have Abdul Carter falling asleep in meetings instead of Cam Ward.
Whoa. We don't know that. We don't know that. That's speculation.
Okay.
Anyways,
we saw what happened to Abdul Carter when he went through a season where his head coach Brian was fired. He fell asleep in meetings after that. So not locked in.
Well,
Joey,
maybe you would too. You would too.
Okay.
Those meetings were boring, Austin.
Joey says when Bane arms come in at 30, he being Robert Saleh is going to pass. It's too big of a concern. Bailey will be the guy, thinks Joey there.
He's playing his flag. He's calling a shot today.
Yep. Just Mash says the tape outweighs the length. Scott thinks the arm length is going to outweigh there. Titans Kyle says the tape is undeniable. Arm length for sure. Steven thinks that he's on Rueben Bain's Jr.'s tape side. Saleh definitely thinks he has T-Rex arms, says Nate's Burner. I think this is I'm going to star this one because I think this is ultimately my answer from Joe there. We'll get back to that one. Tall Texan, arm length matters a lot. A lot of players have undeniable tape in college that don't work out in the NFL. Brandon says, the quarterback, Brandon Allen, says,
welcome in, Brandon.
Jeffrey
Brandon,
says,
you got any calls?
Brandon, come on the pod.
Jeffrey says, undeniable tape. Joshua says, arm length matters. We don't need another defensive tackle. MB says, the tape measurables get you fired. Chris thinks that he is pro Bane. Lane thinks that he's pro Bane with that type of tape. Jeff, once again, thinking it's the arm length. There's a lot of different questions in here, or I guess comments and different answers back and forth here. Do you want to go first with your answer, Easton?
Okay. Well, again, the question is,
I don't want to step on toes.
The question is, what do we think Robert Saleh actually feels?
Correct.
Right? This is not like a personal answer, right? It's what do we think the coach is thinking about Rueben Bain?
I think from listening to yesterday's press conference again, from reading the blurbs that you got on your walk and talk yesterday, I think at the end of the day, for Saleh, and there's going to be other things. He also talked about how character is a big thing, which is, we'll maybe get into that eventually down the road. That all has to check out. But I think at the end of the day, the tape is what truly matters to Robert Saleh. If you can just be a productive player, no matter what, like if you're going to go out there and just be able to, despite all the odds, wreck the game, I think that matters a lot for a guy like Robert Saleh, who is, at the end of the day, probably going to mix and match the guys that are on his 4-3 defensive line anyways. We heard that from Gus Bradley, how he wants two different types of edge rushers on the edge anyways. You're going to talk about potentially, there may even be times where Jeffrey Simmons is one of the guys on the outside because of how they deploy those. So if you can get a guy, no matter if the limitations are there on his arms, I think that's going to matter a whole lot for a guy like Robert Saleh. Now, the big thing for Robert Saleh is he may like the tape and think that prevails. However, the guy who's actually going to make the decision, Mike Borgonzi, as Joe says here, might overrule him because, as we know, Mike Borgonzi, Chad Brinker, this entire organization has become a very, I guess maybe stern is the right word there. Like they know what they want in their guys from a length, from a size, from an athletic specimen perspective. We saw that kind of with them trading off Roger McCreary because reading the tea leaves, he wasn't going to come back because that's just not the type of corner that they want in their defense. And so you can kind of look to that and say, is that going to be a non-negotiable with a guy like Mike Borgonzi? So as much as Robert Saleh might think that the tape
I didn't get
there,
my coffee before the show.
No,
can you tell?
Yeah.
I can't stop yawning.
Just yawn city over there.
I was like, damn, I don't think anything I'm saying is that funny.
No, I'm sitting here thinking about the coffee I'm going to get when we're done here.
But yeah, I think for me, I think you read some of those quotes, you look at the I guess just the pedigree of guys he's had in the past. I think at the end of the day, Robert Saleh is all about ball, and if this guy can produce and the tape is truly undeniable, there's no reason to say undeniable and then think that he can't do it at the NFL level.
Yes, so this is tough because I feel like I feel like this is where coaches and scouts are going to butt heads, right? Because you're right about where you bring in, and Borgonzi mentioned this and Saleh mentioned this. I don't know if Dayball or Gus Bradley brought it up, but like whenever a new coaching staff comes in, it's like, okay, here's what we need to run our scheme. Here's the type of players we want. You have those benchmarks for certain things, for certain positions. And so production's important. And then, but if they don't meet those thresholds, are they outliers? Are they unicorns? And how much do you want to bet on outliers? Probably not that much, especially at 4th overall. Maybe on day 2, day 3 in some spots, depending on your roster construction, yada, yada, where they're at. So I'm looking at this I'm guessing there are Titan scouts who are being like, hey, coaches told me they need X inches of arm length to play defensive end in this system. Yet coach, who hasn't been paying attention for the last 8 months, just started a few weeks ago and is like, man, this Rueben Bain kid can ball. That tape is undeniable. And the scout's like throwing his papers up in the air. Like, well, then what have I been doing the last?
True.
Like, you're just not going to listen. So I listened to Elliot Wolf, who was on the Todd McShay podcast earlier this week, and you guys referenced that earlier. I'm not sure if y'all heard this exact comment or not. But Elliot Wolf was asked by McShay, where do the mistakes happen the most? And he said, usually it's when you don't listen to your scouts.
Right.
And this is an example of if a scout comes in and says, hey, you told me you needed this. This guy does not meet that, but you want him anyway. Not my fault. I told you that.
Yep.
And so that's where I'm sitting here because the coaches are going to love the tape and love the production. And so how strict is Robert Saleh on his measurables needs we're about to find out pretty quickly. If Rueben Bain's on the board at 4 and they pass on him, then maybe we know a little bit more of like what does Robert Saleh like? Is he just going to be your red-blooded guy who's going to go out there and just get somebody who can just crush people, or does he actually have some analytical input into how he wants to run this program?
Well, and to answer the question, I think that the tape is what matters more to Saleh. But what's interesting to me as I listen to you guys talk about this is you mentioned the scout saying, well, you need this amount of arm length, this many inches. And I think back to the presser yesterday where he was talking about a different topic, talking about whether or not 2.5 seconds is still the benchmark for an edge rusher to get to the quarterback. And he said something along the lines of, I've never really thought about it in terms of seconds. I think about it in terms of hitches. Basically, how much of a TikTok route is your move to get to the quarterback?
True.
And I wouldn't be surprised. In fact, I would kind of expect for a guy like him and for a lot of scouts out there to not think about arm length purely as a game of quarter inches, because it does when we zoom out on this and it's like we're all up in arms over whatever, with some guys it's like we're literally up in arms over a quarter of an inch. With Bane it's more than that. I understand. But I think somebody like Saleh and certain scouts are going to watch his tape and not say, well, I need another half inch on his arms for me to say that he can do this position or that position or whatever. I think that they're going to say, okay, on tape against all of the really talented and long tackle prospects that he played this year, how often were his different moves and his arsenal stymied? You know what I mean? So instead of thinking about it in terms of inches of arm length, thinking about it in terms of success with different kinds of moves, because I don't think any coach or scout is going to disagree on whether or not they think he's going to be a good ball player, right? We've talked about this. The disagreement here is where you can play him.
Yes, and how high you draft him. So, who is the most famous person in Titans conversations where short arms have been brought up the most recently?
Peter Skoronski.
Damn it, Easton. Roger McCreary.
That is.
When I think short arm Titan, I think Skoronski, not McCreary. Maybe that's just me.
JT.
I mean, yes, both of them. I was probably going to say Skoronski, but you're right on McCreary.
Chad, am I tripping over the Skoronski take? I'm sorry that you teed me up.
I think Roger McCreary had more famously short arms than Peter Skoronski.
Oh, I disagree. We spent an entire draft cycle talking about Pete's short arms. Like nationally, it was a whole thing. McCreary was just like known to be a shorter corner. Plenty of shorter corners.
Do you know what Roger McCreary's arm length is?
Like the actual number?
Yeah.
No, at one point I did.
I think it's sub 30, right?
I know Peter's.
No.
That's my point, kind of.
30 and 5/8.
Okay.
Rueben Bains are going to be not that far off of that.
You can't put that out there on the internet, because now if they take Bane, it's going to take one bad game for people to be calling him old Roger McCreary arms. That's crazy. That's crazy work.
Guys, time out. Roger McCreary, how many times Roger was in a great spot. You know what? Those short arms, just ball went right over his fingertips. Like, how many times did that happen to Roger McCreary in his 3+ years with the Titans? A lot.
But he's playing against wide receivers.
Yeah, I know that. And so now you're getting an edge rusher who's got the same type of arm length as the short T-Rex arm cornerback.
I hear what you're saying, but in a competition in coverage.
Isn't that crazy?
It is crazy. The competition in coverage, fundamentally, the question is who can jump higher.
Roger McCreary
the competition on the edge is who can run through the other person. And the strength profile is what matters here.
Roger McCreary is 5'11" and had short arms. Rueben Bain is 6'3" and has the same arms as the 5'11" short arm guy.
They do different jobs.
They both have short arms. And guess who has the longer arms? The guys that are blocking Rueben Bain, who can literally big brother him and have him go swiping at the arm.
How often did you see that this year?
In the ACC, not that much.
How about the playoff?
Against
not
Oklahoma.
that much. What tackles are in the NFL that he went up against in the playoff?
That are going to be NFL tackles?
Yeah.
Remind me of who they even played. So, like Indiana, no starting NFL tackle.
Texas A&M.
Yeah, A&M has starting NFL tackle play. They played at Oklahoma, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
I can't.
Indiana, the A&M, Ohio State, Ole Miss, and then Indiana.
Oh.
So Ole Miss, no. Indiana,
No.
Texas A&M, yes. Ohio
Texas
State.
A&M,
Okay, but
yes.
hang on.
Ohio
We're not talking
State,
about.
maybe.
Are we talking about NFL talent or are we talking about length here? The point is length that we're talking about right now.
Yeah.
Here's my 2 cents, because I've not watched every game of his season, but I watched 3 or 4 before we came here to be able to talk about the guy. And I wish I had a better feel for like the historical context of this. But we talk about how, you know, this, that, or the other, the guys that are under 31 inches historically have never made a Pro Bowl or an All-Pro. Understood. Of those guys, first of all, when you go through that list of guys and their pedigree, it's not like a graveyard of guys that were really awesome draft prospects that were like good college players.
Ohio State's right tackle is not good. Coming from the biggest Ohio State homer I've ever met.
Don't derail my point here, Austin. What was I even saying? Oh, it's not like it's a murderer's row of guys that were awesome draft prospects that flamed out in the NFL because of their length. And I think in part that is because what Rueben Bain's trump card is, and this is another thing that Saleh was talking about yesterday. I forget which session it was in, but he was talking about how in the NFL, pretty much at any position, what matters to him is what is your fastball. Having change-ups you can throw off of that fastball are also important.
Yeah.
But what defines you? What do you win with? You have to have a thing. Being like a really sound all-arounder guy isn't super attractive to him. And I get that. I think I kind of agree with that philosophy, especially when we're talking about, you know, 4th overall picks. You need to have a killer fastball. With Bane, it is the strength profile. And when you're as strong as he is, I mean, farm strong, and he will just run through anyone's face. I understand that the length is a concern, but why do we care about length, Austin? It's because of leverage, like the physics of leverage. Leverage is a thing that you use to increase your strength over another person. Leverage is not a thing you need if you're just stronger than the other person.
No,
right?
wrong. Leverage is always needed.
Say more.
Leverage is always needed. Leverage wins.
Leverage is a tool that allows you to win in a bout of strength. But also being stronger is a tool that allows you to win in a bout of strength.
Yes, but if you have bad leverage and you like, you could sit like, look, I don't want to get too into physics here, but like, and examples. But if like you can have better
lever, and you
leverage. Leverage wins. If a slightly weaker person has better leverage against
slightly is my point. This is my point. Is that he is just like significantly stronger than a lot of the talent he's playing up against, and this is what you see on tape in college. I'm not saying it's the reason that his short arms are never going to matter. It's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that the teams that end up convincing themselves on him, and there's going to be a lot of them, and he's going to go high. Like whether he goes at 4 or 5 or 6, like the guy's not falling to 15. Like I think we all understand that, right? He's going to be a top draft pick.
The Bengals are maybe his low spot.
Yes, he's going to be a top draft pick. Teams are going to convince themselves on him to play somewhere in the NFL. Now, whether that's a 3-ticker, a 5-ticker, or 7, we'll see. We were talking last night. We could really get into some nerd talk with Ryan and Joe. Like we kind of settled on we think he's going to play 4 and 5, but that's a conversation for another day. Why that is. At that position, face up on the tackle, I don't think that his lack of length is going to be as much a concern for him because of how strong he is what I'm trying to say.
It's going to be fascinating, and I think we'll definitely get some quotes from him on those types of things in, less than an hour?
That's right.
Right now, it's all about how you're going to deploy them once again. And the point, I think, that the one track here for especially a guy like Robert Saleh is that with how they deploy their defensive linemen, edge rushers, defensive linemen, defensive nose tackles, all of these guys, even sometimes rolling in a 4-2-5, not necessarily a 4-3, like having on obvious passing downs. There are going to be opportunities where you could just basically say, hey, I'm going to take this player because I'm going to find a spot for him, and he's going to be a game wrecker where I find the best spot for him. And maybe that is a little bit more inside, and probably not what you want. Then
it's the 4th overall pick, right?
Exactly.
And I think that's what we're talking.
That's where
here.
we're getting to here, which is
because nobody's saying Rueben Bain sucks at football, but you have the 4th overall.
You just said he's undraftable.
Yeah. I just said the floor is the 10th pick for him with the Bengals, right?
There's also a world where his arms, like, he is given a very generous arm length here. As I feel like that was something that I heard yesterday. I think
Bane?
Well, no, just in general.
Oh, I see.
I was listening to Adam Peters, the general manager of the Commanders, kind of talk about how this is not the end-all, be-all. Every different place he gets his arms measured, and probably at his pro day as well, is going to be a different number. And it's like, at that point, you have to take it into account that number may not be real. And so, like, it'll be fascinating to see what he actually measures in at. But
as someone in the chat brings up, by the way, like, what makes this conversation fascinating is we're sitting here talking about his arms are too short. He's not going to be able to get by the tackle. And then someone in the comments a minute ago was like, well, if a tackle gets their hands on David Bailey in any way, then he's also not getting by the tackle. Like, it's strength versus length versus speed that we're talking about at the top of this draft. You got to pick your poison. Nobody's perfect. There are no blue chip edge rushers here.
True, and we're talking about the 4th overall pick, which is why I'm starting to take the Jeremiah Love stuff a little bit more seriously. And the more, we'll talk about that later on. We have plenty of time.
Let's schedule plenty of room for that conversation.
Hell yeah, and hey, Carnell Tate too. And we'll see what happens with Carnell Tate. I would love to watch the difference in Carnell Tate's 40. I doubt he runs the 40 here.
Oh, I think he's running it.
Is he?
I'm not reporting that, but I think he's going to.
Okay,
I heard something along the similar lines.
I have heard people that know things around here talk about him like he's running it. So
the joke of the Ohio State's 40-yard dash is 39.5 yards and slightly downhill, right?
That's right.
And so what's the difference of Carnell Tate's 40 in Indy versus 40 back in Columbus? The same thing is like Indianapolis is this is it. No, I'm saying this is the official stuff. Like,
I see.
Everybody's getting the same thing. Like, I get
standardized.
Standardized, exactly. It's straight through. Everybody's doing the same stuff on the same turf, the same doctors, the same group doing everything here. So again, you're betting if you draft Rueben Bain 4th overall to play the edge, you are betting on him being a unicorn.
Correct.
That is just factually accurate, and maybe he is. Maybe he is. And if he is, that would be really cool for the Tennessee Titans and Robert Saleh, Mike Borgonzi, and Cam Ward, and Jeffrey Simmons, and Devandre Sweat, and them building the core of this. But you're betting on him being a unicorn.
I have 2 questions for the room, but Austin, do an ad read first.
Oh, okay. Let me tell you guys about our friends. It's beautiful. It's Barton Drury Insurance Group, customized solutions for all of your insurance needs. BartonDrury.com is the website for you to go to check out what they have. 615-806-1265 is their phone number. Great people. Great support, great service, and great knowledge of the insurance landscape, because everybody needs insurance. You need insurance in many different ways, whether you're a single person out there fighting the world on your own, you need some health coverage, you need some backup on that, or maybe you have a young family growing and make sure you have the right health, dental, and vision coverage. Like us here at A to Z Sports, Zach and I needed a workers' comp policy a few years back. Barton Drury Insurance came in and helped us out with that, because that's very complicated, because it goes state by state, different bills, different laws, and things that we don't know. And then we have our health coverage that we offer to our employees through Barton Drury Insurance Group. They do a great job setting us up with that, making it the best coverage possible for great rates for our employees, for us as a business. So check them out online, bartondrury.com.
Hit that like button. Make sure you are subscribed to the show, as Easton is going to hit us with 2 questions.
2 questions for the room. We'll do them one at a time, though. Okay. First question. As we are talking about this and disagreeing about his value at 4, how much of the Titans' existing situation on the interior of the defensive line is coloring your opinion? In other words, if the Titans could really use a kick-ass 3-tech, would you feel differently about drafting him at 4?
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, so you're saying if you didn't have all-pro Jeffrey Simmons in his prime?
Because I think the thing we're all sitting here worried about in the back of our heads is, oh crap, what if he overlaps with guys they already have? We don't want overlap. Overlap is scary and bad.
I just think you're talking about, like, interior D lineman is becoming more valuable in the NFL.
Yes,
than it was,
my point here.
Right? And again, Jeffrey Simmons tore his ACL in January of his draft year. That's why the Titans got him at 19. If Jeffrey Simmons, and I don't know exactly. Honestly, if Jeffrey Simmons did not tear his ACL, Cleveland Farrell isn't the 4th overall pick to the Raiders in 2019, that's probably Jeffrey Simmons.
It very well. I mean, he's definitely a top 10 pick. I'd have to go back and do the autopsy on it.
But Cleveland
yes.
Farrell, like I know he went 4th. He was an edge rusher from Clemson, so not the same position. But Jeff might have been something like that, right? Daniel Jones went 6. I don't remember who went 5 in that class because that was the Nashville draft. So you're talking about that, right? But Jeff's longer, bigger than Bane, and played D tackle in college, where Bane is having to move inside. It's a different game in there. I think Bane could do it, but yeah.
I don't think, by the way, he's going to end up being a 3-tech. Like, I know a lot of people are talking about that. First of all, if that's the ultimate reality, that will be a multi-year transition because you can't transform your body. Even if you're sticking at the position you're playing at, all these guys have to transform their bodies to harden it to NFL levels, which sounds weird and vague, but like hardening your butt. You talk to these coaches, a lot of them, I ask about this tight end. What do you think about him this year? And they're like, after a year of him getting his body right at NFL levels, and everyone says hardening it. Like, I think a big part of that is building up the durability required to not break, but it's also building up the durability to not lose stamina in the 3rd and the 4th quarter of week 16. And that's just a different beast for these guys going from college
it's also
to the NFL.
like you look at, when you're in college, in your college age or your early 20s, you still have some of that kid fat. You still, your face a little fuller.
Yep.
You've got that little teenager body, right? And then you literally start to harden. Like you take shape.
Your nutrition plan is probably going to be better in the NFL, I'd hope.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You get smarter. You learn I should probably stop eating the thing that gives me like all this bloating.
No more Pop-Tarts. All right, fine.
Right. Except for the Pop-Tart bowl. Now, so I'm glad.
That's true.
Andre brought something up that I'm glad he did because this is a tiny little anecdotal thing. I don't want to take up too much time because I know Easton's got stuff to do. You guys both have stuff to do. And we have a second question coming from Easton.
Yes.
Andre said, Jeff is why I'd take Chris Bell and wait on him. So Chris Bell, the Louisville receiver who tore his ACL in November of last year, it could be a 2nd-round pick. 35 might be too high for that. Here's why I say no. Jeff was the 19th pick, 1st-rounder, so the Titans did that and waited on him. So you're talking about Chris Bell was a 2nd-round pick or maybe the 66th pick if he falls. The reason why I say no is not because of I don't trust that Chris Bell is going to recover well from his ACL. It's the position. Wide receiver is so much of timing, preparation, reps together. Defensive line is go get him, son.
Right. And also, who was on the Titans defensive line when they drafted Jeffrey Simmons?
Jarrell Casey.
Thank you.
Brian Arakpo, Derek Morgan.
Yes, but Jarrell was the name I was looking for. They had a dude. Like, they were in good shape there.
Yeah, and they were a 9-7 football team.
Right. They had a luxury there that they absolutely do not have now.
They could literally wait for Jeff to come back week 7 against the Chargers or week 8 against the Chargers, whichever one it was, and just start making plays. And because it's go get him, kid. And Chris Bell, it's like, well, do you have any reps with Cam? Can you run in training camp? Can you do routes? Like, how much of this is going to translate? Then when you get into the game, where is your impact going to start? And that's why I say Chris Bell, unfortunately, that I don't think the Titans can do that unless they double dip at 35 and 66 at wide receiver or something like that.
It's also not – it's also the fact that the ACL tear came so much later in the season that even if he were to come back like week 8 of his rookie year, you're then essentially saying we're going to get back to, because of how ACL recovery works, like you're going to get the full Chris Bell experience not until like week 9 of his 2nd year. Like, because, and that's just also
to become a year after the year guy.
Exactly. And so you'd be taking a guy who you're not getting the best out of until halfway through his rookie deal. And that's just like, I don't know if that's something that you could do.
Also a great point by Jake.
I never want to draft a Louisville receiver again. Des Fitzpatrick haunting.
Decent call. All right, second question.
Your second, yeah.
We heard a good deal, and I'm going to write about this, I think, today. We'll see if I have time. At some point this week, I will write this. We heard a lot yesterday from Robert Saleh. I'm very curious to hear if we hear more from Mike Borgonzi here in a couple hours about the edge rusher that everyone seems to have forgotten the Titans drafted in the 2nd round last year. Femi Oladejo, still around. Still a guy that this front office has a lot of hope and promise tied to. And I think back to when Gus Bradley was talking about the different kinds of edge rushers they generally want on their team, and how another thing that I'm going to write later today, Robert Saleh yesterday was talking about the chaos and jet fuel nature of his defensive line pass rush attack, and how it's going to take some time for a guy like Femi, for example, to be conditioned to take the leash off and just go get after the quarterback. And I'm curious what we think. I'm curious if we think where Femi fits into the equation will impact what kind of edge they prefer at the top. Because if we're talking about overlap, and I know a lot of fans probably will just say, like, Femi can't be a part of the equation. Like, you know what I mean?
You saw such little of him,
right?
In
and if that's your answer,
transition.
fine. But if they are planning on Femi being a real dude and not giving up on him after 1 year, which I think would be very foolish, then you do need the guy you bring in if you draft an edge at 4 to do something a little bit different than Femi does, right?
I think it's a great topic because Patricia says Femi was a reach, another project where you're waiting to see break out. And somebody early on when you were talking about your first impression of Arvel Reese is that he is a pure projection, right? Which is exactly what Femi is. So you're going to go spin.
I disagree with that, by the way, but neither here nor there.
Arvel Reese is not a projection?
Pure projection. We saw him rush the passer
97 times?
And how
97
how many
times.
And
97
how
times.
What was his hit
97
rate?
times.
What was his hit
97
rate?
times.
What was his hit rate? You want to talk about competition? Who was Ohio State playing?
Nobody until they played Michigan.
Right. But we saw him play some
then
decent
Indiana.
competition.
No, okay. And also
Indiana, Michigan. Thank you.
Yeah. So they're game number 12 and 13 of the season, and they
That's
lost
right.
one of them.
But how did Arvel play? Sorry, Vel.
Vel played well.
How did Vel play?
Vel played well. They didn't
Nice.
allow a team to score 17 points a year until they lost to Miami.
Right.
Crazy.
Anyways, keep going. Not the point.
The point is, in back-to-back years, if they take Arvel Reese at 4, this is going to be so stupid.
I'm just not going to do it.
If
I'm
they
just going
take
to call Arvel.
if they take Arvel at
There
4,
it is.
and after taking Femi at 52 the year before, you've got a lot of projection you're relying on, quick development on the edge.
Right.
But guys who are freaks, right?
Absolutely.
And go off what Robert Saleh said about Femi yesterday. We don't have the audio video for it, but at first when I heard it, I was like, that's not good for Femi. I was like, wait a second. I was like Alonzo Mourning sitting on the bench, like, oh, okay. Actually, you know what? I actually kind of like this. I think Femi needs less thinking. Femi's a very smart guy. He went to Cal Berkeley out of high school for goodness sakes. Very smart guy. But I want that dude to just fly because
Have you seen him? Like, have you looked at the guy?
Yes.
That's the kind of specimen that I want to just go be a specimen.
With a smile on his face, right?
That's
just
right.
That's the kind of
ruin
thing
your
where
day and smile about it.
I do think that, and I kind of turned to you. I said, I think Saleh, and so I'm somebody who thinks Femi projects to be actually a big part of the equation next
Agreed.
year, because reading some of the quotes, and I know you're going to write about those in the walk and talk, and listening to that comment yesterday, I came around to this guy kind of really digs Femi. At
Let's
the end
see
of the
what
day.
Borgo has to say about him
Yes.
today. Because, again, all of these things we're saying, we're looking to look for some confirmation here in a couple of hours. It'll be interesting.
Because they drafted Femi under a completely different defense.
Correct?
Yep.
But same GM. So if anyone's gonna be pushing for this guy to be involved, it's gonna be Mike.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
So totally. All right. What do we want to do now? We got 20 minutes of Easton.
We do.
Do you want to? I'll ask you the question.
Yeah, let's dive in. And
then you can take it whichever direction you want.
So we can do this again another day. We can double up.
Question to both of you guys: what was the most interesting thing that Robert Saleh said yesterday at the NFL Combine? I will update the YouTube poll because I failed to do that for the Bane Saleh thought on both sides of the fence. So, what was the most interesting thing that Robert Saleh said yesterday at the NFL Combine? But let me remind you guys about our great partners at the Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. If there's an injury that happens in life to you, someone you love, maybe your son or daughter playing youth sports, sometimes that happens. And the Bone and Joint does a fantastic job with youth sports injuries and helping that young athlete recover the right way and build upon what their athletic foundation is. Finding out if you have some type of body mechanic thing that needs to be worked on. Like I know I have that. I've got a little foot thing that makes my ankle and my knee and my hip all rotate in, and they can have physical therapy can help correct that to help your lower back pain and all this other stuff later in life. It's a real thing. The Bone and Joint Institute can be a great resource for you. And so for whatever your situation is, if it's a life injury that just happens, if you have an accident, slip and fall and hurt something, or a sports injury, they got you covered all along the way. boneandjointtn.org in Franklin.
Hit that like button, like the show, subscribe. Let's get to this. What was the most interesting thing Robert Saleh said yesterday at the NFL Combine? Also, we do have to give Jeff his flowers here with the super chat here.
You would do that now? Let's do the super chat.
We were going to save the best for last, but Jeff is demanding us to do his super chat. So he says, first, this is for Easton's Coffee Fund. So there you go.
Oh, I can afford the most expensive coffee in town now. That's awesome.
This gets you 2 Starbucks drinks.
That's right.
Second, those arms are a concern. NFL tackles are much better than what he went against in college. Reese is an edge who can also drop and has versatility. His athletic score will be A+.
So I agree with a lot of what you said. To be clear, I am not saying that the arms aren't a concern. I am saying that I think the counter to the arms for him is very simple. It is that he is just strong enough to hang anyways.
Fair enough.
Right. And also, I don't think the Titans and Robert Saleh want their edge rushers to drop.
Correct. They want him to get upfield.
Yeah.
I mean, explicitly, Robert Saleh, again, this will be in the article I read later. But they want their guys to get upfield as fast as humanly possible and not worry about reading, reacting, and dropping. That's a 3-4 thing more than a 4-3.
The last note that I have on the super chat, Jeff, appreciate that. The budget was like monetary financial budget is not the reason that Easton didn't have his coffee. It's the time budget.
That's right.
Yeah, time budget is what was short for the coffee situation. So, okay. What was the most interesting thing Robert Saleh said yesterday at the Combine?
I'll go first.
Yeah, I'll let you take this.
How about our boy Devandre Sweat? If we're talking about the defensive line, let's stick to the defensive line. He was talking about Devandre Sweat, was asked about Devandre Sweat in the... Sorry?
You want to play it?
Oh, we have it. We have a clip. Let's show a clip.
I'll address Sweat first. We had a guy in 2000, I want to say 20, I think it was 23, maybe 22, L. Woods, who was just as big, just as fast, just as fleet of foot. Obviously it's going to be we're going to ask things of him that are different than what he's done in the past, but one thing he has shown on tape is he can get numbers, which we need our D-line to be able to do. They need to be able to run, and that is something that he can do. He's a big man. He's got much faster feet than people realize. Is it going to be easy for him? It's not. It is a lot of work. It is physically demanding to play D-line in our system. But I do think he's up to the task. Have had great conversations with him, and I'm excited to see him get to work.
So this is such a Rorschach test. I love this. This is peak off season. People that are pro Sweat are going to take this and run around town waving it in the air. People that are anti-Sweat are going to wave it away as something that he just has to say. Of course he says. What is he supposed to say at the Combine? Of course he says that. To me, I think it is confirmation of my priors that Devandre Sweat is going to be a part of this team, is going to work in this defense. I wrote yesterday a little bit about the Al Woods comparison that he brought up there. Kind of a different situation because Al Woods is a big guy. Devandre Sweat is the biggest guy. So Woods is, off the top of my head, Combine listing 6'4", 309, which I think that he actually played heavier than that, just like eyeballing the pictures. Devandre Sweat Combine listing, 6 foot, 366. I think these are roughly the correct numbers.
You're correct.
Devandre,
you nailed the Al Woods numbers. Yeah.
Let's go. I read them yesterday. So Devandre Sweat came into the NFL and I think played at
that guy weighed. Al Woods weighed way more than 309.
Yeah, just Google the guy. He did not weigh 309. that was a
Google
fake Combine
images
number.
tab. 309, my behind. Yeah.
Yeah. Now he was not Devandre size, but he was playing at like 320 at least. There's just no way. And also at the time of Saleh coaching him in 2023, Al Woods was a 13-year veteran and was dealing with on and off injuries before he eventually tore his Achilles in week 8 and was done for the year. So he didn't play every game fully that season, but the games that he did play full, he played, and this is also off the top of my head, I think he played 35, 41, and 47 snaps. So like a healthy full workload. That was also one more caveat on a defensive line. Go look up the 2023 Jets defensive line and see how crowded it was. He was playing with some dudes. The Titans defensive line is one of the strengths of their team. They are not in that ballpark right now because of the edge position, not even close. And their depth at D-line also not as good as what the Jets' depth is. I don't have all those names off the top of my head, but they're in the article. All of that being said, that was an example, a use case example of Robert Saleh in his defense 3 years ago, using a guy of the prototypical 3-4 nose profile that Devandre Sweat is in an effective way anyways. And what Saleh pointed out there, what I think, again, is going to be the thing that wins him a spot in this defense is that, yes, Devandre is not a speed profile. He's very big. He's a space eater. He's not a pass rusher in the way that Jeff Simmons is a pass rusher. But what we are all regularly, I would say, amused by or surprised by is when Devandre Sweat is kind of like in single coverage back there, and the running back or the quarterback or the wide receiver is desperately trying to get the edge on them. And it's like, holy cow, is Devandre chasing that guy down? He does that a lot, right? Like the guy can scoot. The head of steam he can get at his size is unbelievable. And Saleh said, hey, he can get number to number. He really can.
And it's how he can move from side to side. His horizontal,
his lateral movement is incredible for his size. Incredible.
Yeah. And so a comment from the chat here. Hello Lady says, I still haven't heard any evidence that Sweat doesn't fit Saleh's system. Agree.
The evidence is simple. He's a prototypical 3-4 nose, and he's not a super fast player, and Saleh likes fast players.
He's quick enough,
yes.
I think.
Correct.
And I think football scheme, Devandre Sweat can fit the system. I think it's the off the field buy-in scheme that does Devandre Sweat still fit here, right?
So a recap of this. We were talking about this last year.
There is a reason why Jeffrey Simmons publicly said, I am making sure Devandre is with me in Texas offseason training. There's a reason for that. If there wasn't a reason for it, Jeff wouldn't have made it so publicly known.
And so my stance is not that Devandre Sweat is definitely going to work for this team. My stance is that if he doesn't, it's not because of the new coaching defense thing. It's because of the thing we were already talking about last year when it was a different coach and a different defense, which was, hey, when Jarvis got traded away, and people didn't like it at the time, but I was saying it and now we all kind of understand, it was a culture fit thing. Sweat was also, his name was dropped in that conversation as well. And Sweat was invested in more heavily. He is a more talented football player, and so his leash is longer. That's the way that it goes in the NFL. But the Titans brass wants more from him off the field in that way, to be a locker room culture fit guy. They think that he can be, but they want to see him do it. And this offseason is kind of a do or die situation for him there. And so that's why, to your point, Jeffrey Simmons is talking about, getting the Airbnb in Texas and doing the workout and being all in on the nutritionist and all of these things. And if he does all of those things, then I think the change in coach, the change in defense will not be because a lot of people are saying, well, he's already a question in terms of the locker room. Now he can't play in this defense. He's definitely done. And I just don't agree with that.
I agree. And so just to recap the whole Devandre Sweat situation here is that when he is motivated and has reason to be motivated externally, Devandre Sweat is really freaking good. That's why he won the trophy to be the best lineman in college football his final year at Texas. He had that motivation to become a second-round pick. So Jeffrey Simmons also doubled down on this situation, and this is a pro Devandre nugget here, is with 3HL at the Super Bowl, Jeffrey Simmons said Devandre would not stop blowing up his phone. He's having dinner with his girl, and Jeff's saying he's getting texts from Devandre about where to get in Dallas and where to go in Dallas so he can have the right nutrition when they're working out. So Devandre is doing all this homework on a Friday night when Jeff's out there having a date night. And so good, right? That's great. That's great. But but it's January. Right. So
a lot of time to screw it up.
Yes. Robert Saleh just got hired. Like the attention is on you now. Like go be the motivated person you were that last offseason in Texas.
The last thing I'll say on that, and just kind of to wrap up the entire defensive conversation there, once again, the amount of different deployments that Robert Saleh will have on this fast and violent defense that's going to be chaotic, that is going to give you different looks all the time, that is going to push and pull and plug and play different type of guys to give you different looks and changing that thing over and over again, like he did in San Francisco last year and before that, there's never not going to be a spot for a guy like Devandre Sweat in a certain situation. Maybe it's not the
as often
as like the Al Woods with the 35, but like 25, 30 snaps, something like that. Like there's always going to be use for a player like that. But like you said, it's that's why I'm kind of continuing to stay out of the conversation of whether I want Devandre Sweat to stay or go. It's because I want to give the guy his chance to prove this offseason that he's ready to work for it.
Yeah, and so I did see a comment that I wanted to get to. Eric says Sweat said himself, if he lost weight, he'd be a Hall of Famer. And to I remember that comment was right after he got drafted, and my comment was, well, only you can prevent forest fires. It's do it then.
Where's the
then?
That's the wrong one.
Nope.
Wait.
Nope. I should learn we're gonna label the buttons. Is there a
Yes, it's that one.
This one?
Yeah. There you go.
That's the one.
So
Unbelievable.
Blue.
lose the
Blue.
weight.
Remember
like,
blue.
If that's the motivation to be a Hall of Famer, then lose the weight.
Then lose the weight, right?
Then figure it out, right? Like, man, if I could lose the weight, I would be a Hall of Famer.
Stop going to Barstool Nashville. Lose the weight.
No kidding.
I'll say it.
If I were 6'4", I probably could have played college basketball. I
Me
can't
too,
control that. I can't control that.
Right.
I'm 5'11". Can't
If
do
I
anything
didn't have
about
sub 31-inch arms, I'd be a good edge rusher, you know?
But, you can only do that so much. You can
That's
only
right.
dislocate your shoulders so far for a measurement to get that out there.
Yes.
All right. Do we want to do anything else? Easton, do you want to do trivia?
Let's do it.
JT,
Run it up.
Okay.
Run it up.
All right.
Trivia
Time for trivia. Fast trivia. Are you pulling it up for the screen?
I'm pulling it up.
All right. Trivia time. Fast trivia. All right. I don't know how the graphics are going to work because we made a custom layout here.
It's going to be weird.
It's going to be weird.
It is.
Well, actually, maybe not. Hang on.
Nobody cares about seeing us on this trivia screen. It's just about the trivia screen.
Yeah, not the point. All right, run it.
We're not stalling to not talk about love. I just don't have the clip ready for
See, it looks fine.
That's fine.
You know what we could do? Could we just full screen the thing?
But we look okay. Not that.
Oh God. Oh, my bad. That's terrible.
What's happening?
I messed it up. That's my fault.
I messed it up.
How's that?
Oh, that's great.
Sure, why not?
Let's do that.
Yeah, screw those ads. All right.
This is going to be kind of tough because I have two hands that need to
Now,
type and one
apparently
hand for a
today was
microphone.
supposed to be the Facebook only day, but I don't know if we're gonna bring that back up.
We'll run, when we're not at the combine, we'll figure that out.
Yes.
Don't worry.
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
As
fair. All right,
Orlando
so-
says, is this a YouTube list trivia?
No. All right, we ready?
All right. So who's gonna? So JT, your right hand types for Easton, while Easton's left hand types.
There's just no way that's happening.
What do you
JT,
mean?
you can type the answers. I'll read with the
Okay.
microphone. How about that?
Sure.
Bobby Wagner spent a single year with this NFC team in 2022 before returning for a second Seattle stint. What's happening right now?
Rams. Yes.
Holy,
Rams.
he can't type. Geography. Stony Brook, Cornell, Wagner, and Bernard are colleges or universities that can be found in this Eastern time zone state.
Isn't it Massachusetts?
Where's Cornell?
Cornell's.
I think
I want to say Massachusetts.
that
is
sounds
correct.
right to me.
New York.
New York?
Stony Brook.
Stony
No,
Brook's
Stony
New
Brook
York.
is New York. It totally is. You're right.
Yeah. I know that from college basketball is a great.
Retroactively called the junior high years, Good Morning, Miss Bliss was the name of the first season of this famous teen sitcom that ran from 1989 to 1993.
Saved by the Bell, maybe.
Good Morning, Miss Bliss.
Yeah,
Retroactively
Saved
called
by the Bell. Saved
Okay.
by the Bell.
Movies. This 2017 film starring Frances McDormand, Sam Rockwell, Woody Harrelson, and Peter Dinklage was most outstanding cast at the Screen Actors Guild Awards.
2017.
Is this 3 billboards outside of Ebbing, Missouri?
Peter Dinklage was in that?
No, I don't think so. I think that was Frances McDormand, though. Or might be
Is this Hunger Games?
stuff up.
Peter Dinklage wasn't in.
No.
Is it 3 billboards?
Three billboards.
Yeah.
I hope this is. I hope it's.
Ebbing, Missouri.
Okay.
Nice. Featuring T-Pain, this artist's hit song Kiss Kiss features a Billboard End of Year Hot 100 in 07 and 08. Sorry, finished on the Billboard End of Year Hot 100.
Chris Brown, right?
Sure.
Sure.
Not
Come
the world's
on,
biggest
guys.
Chris
Seriously?
Brown fan here, but
Yeah, not the biggest.
the Big Arch is an item set to roll out nationwide in the United States at
McDonald's.
this yeah, good call.
Because I saw someone Arch
The
Manning
Big
should do
Arch,
That's
McDonald's.
as easy as it gets. Hall of Fame
branding, baby.
Yeah, Hall of Fame reliever Billy Wagner made his final All-Star and clinched his 400th career save while pitching.
I believe that. I think this is the Mets here. I think
This is a massive.
If you get a Mets
Wagner.
answer
This is
wrong.
the third Wagner.
I'm putting my nuts on the table. This has to.
Don't
This has
do
to
that.
You're doing your what now?
I'm. If I'm wrong.
Family show.
No.
Oh, Mets
Braves.
card revoked. Mets
Damn.
card revoked. That's crazy.
Is that the year he went to the Braves?
I don't
it
know.
Might be.
Drafted 8th overall out of Michigan, this German forward plays alongside his brother and has
It's
averaged.
Wagner. Mo Wagner.
Okay, so it's the Wagner show.
This is
Got
a
it.
Wagner show.
Wagner.
Wagner. No, it's Wagner. That's how it's. Moritz
What?
Wagner. Yeah, Mo Wagner.
So how do you
That's how
spell
say
that?
it. Franz Wagner or Mo? I think
Is
it's
it
Moritz.
Okay, try
Friends.
Moritz.
Wait. Friends.
Franz
Wagner.
Wagner.
How do you spell that?
Franz. Yeah, right there.
Man, that's crazy.
Celeb mashup. Ooh, Liam Neeson and from Friends.
Moritz Wagner. Courtney Cox.
Courtney Cox, yeah.
Are we sure it's Liam Neeson?
Yes.
Are you sure? I
Yep.
don't think it is.
I think it is.
Okay. Braves.
Woof.
Woof.
All right. Hey, not
Dang.
bad. Except for JT not knowing his Mets. Not
JT,
bad.
what the hell, man?
Yeah, that's. Hey, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna go back to the film. We're gonna study up. We're gonna see what's going on.
You're on the hot seat, buddy.
Yeah.
You're on the hot seat.
Miserable.
I just chopped my nuts off for that one.
Don't
You did what?
Stop doing that, man.
This guy gets to Indianapolis,
Good.
thinks he can say anything on the show. That's
This
crazy.
is a family show.
Crazy
you're in,
work.
You're in public. Like it's like I would think you would say that in your house, but not
No.
in public.
You usually yes, but the combine public is a different breed of cats out here.
All right, like the show. Lots of content coming. See
So
you guys
much.
later on. Appreciate it.